Ready for some of the best news you've probably ever heard? Or definitely one of the best pieces of news you've ever heard in your life? When I say that, what does your mind do in your belief system? Probably very skeptical. Probably very skeptical. What I'm going to share with you is one of the best videos I've ever seen. It's recent. Well, it's about 7 months old. It's about restoring the Republic of the United States. It's filled with proofs. And the fact that it's 7 months old means that we're just that much closer. But I'm going to read this for you really quick, and then I'm just going to roll the video. Everything is going to revert back to our original Constitution, to March of 1861. All of the attorneys and judges with Esquire attached to their names were falsely operating under hijacked maritime law. So everything they've done and all the contracts they've written will become null and void. BAR, British appointed registry attorneys, are 100% illegal, which is what we've got operating in the United States and in a lot of places around the world. They're registered under the Crown of England. It's 1,000% illegal. And after I share this video, I'm going to post the links to the video on Rumble and the website that you can go to for our new republic, which is already underway. So without further ado, let me roll this and enjoy, because this is one of the things we've been waiting for. This is a bomb. So I'm going to move my microphone so you can hear my speaker and enjoy. You're going to want to share this one.
Good afternoon, Patriots, and welcome to the 63rd audio chat in the Q News Patriot Rumble channel series. I'm the Q News Patriot, joined today by Dr. Sandy Miarecki, retired Lieutenant Colonel for the United States Air Force. My name is SG Anon. You know, one of the fundamental concepts about the Great Awakening is the 1871 overthrow of the Republic of the United States of America, a process that was begun by foreign financial interests as early as the 1850s, culminated, of course, in the fragmentation and schisming of our great republic in the Civil War, and we were sort of left as a pauper and a beggar after that, and we were overthrown. For those out there that are following the program newly or maybe are hearing this type of content for the first time, in 1871, sort of at gunpoint, metaphorically speaking, from the central banking cartel out of Europe. That particular overthrow has never gone away. The impact made on the 20th century is sort of speaks for itself and is a great deal of why we are where we are in the current form. Under President Trump's administration, we saw the Office of Military Settlements issue some amount of bankruptcy reconciliation for the defunct U.S. corporation government and begin a movement towards a new republic, the emergence of a new republic, or really the old republic of the United States of America in the form that it was supposed to have been. Dr. Miarecki has some association with some of that and a remarkable history and perspective, I think, to offer, and I'm glad to have her on the show. Sandy, thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you. It's an honor to be here.
You know, the honor is truly mine, and when I was able to read your bio and get a chance to set this up and connect, I was really very exhilarated. We have a situation here in the United States of America where the military forces of the United States are being shown out for the honorable personnel that they are. And we also have some within the military-industrial complex, what I would call the upper echelon corruption, that are anything but that and really represent the antithesis of everything that the military was supposed to be and enact and ennoble here in the United States. Do you care to give my audience a background, a little bit of your service, your perspective in this world, and how you've come to the fight at this point in time?
Absolutely. They actually link together very nicely, like almost God planned it. So I was born and raised in Chicago. I know, not something to be proud of these days. We moved a little bit when I was a kid. I ended up in Woodstock, Illinois. So that's kind of what I call my hometown. Always wanted to be an astronaut. I watched the moon landings and thought that would be the greatest thing, to live on the moon. So super overachiever, trying to be, make the resume as best as I could, valedictorian of my high school class, went to the University of Illinois, majored in astrophysics, went through ROTC, and decided that I would make my resume for NASA in the Air Force. They said that pilot would be the best idea. And I said, well, I've never flown in one before, but I like roller coasters. So that's kind of how that decision was made. I went through pilot training and was assigned to, various aircraft over the years. I was 1 year too early to be one of the first women in fighters. Otherwise, I would have been there because that was my whole goal and dream. I ended up in cargo, flying all over the world. Was injured by a vaccine in my second assignment, which was Gulf War I, Part 2. So for anyone who remembers, there was actually a couple of different parts of that. Don't know what it is. It doesn't show up in my medical records. And I didn't realize it until health was sliding downhill later on. So I was a pilot. I was an instructor pilot in most of the aircraft that I flew, and then also a test pilot at Edwards Air Force Base. When I was there, I was a B-52 test pilot. And that was mainly upgrades and a lot of weapons integration. So for anyone who knows about JDAM and those kinds of weapons, which use the GPS to steer themselves to whatever coordinates you give them. And so I was involved in a lot of that. I ended up leaving the test world and going back operational to cargo. And then my next assignment after that was as an instructor. So I was teaching pilot training. Then I was teaching in the regular aircraft, and then I ended up in teaching the teachers, as we say, for pilot training in the T-38s, which are the fighter-looking little airplanes. So there I was working at the headquarters, and then my last assignment was Brooks Air Force Base, San Antonio, and I retired barely at 20 years, realizing that my health was just not good anymore, and I had to go for a non-flying job. I ended up going back to school. Went to Berkeley, got my PhD in physics with the goal of teaching physics at the Air Force Academy. God led me there. Pretty much just bam, bam, bam. Everything just lined up perfectly for when that one job came open in 4 or 5 years. It never had been. I got that job and was teaching happily at the academy in the physics department and just loving my job. Then COVID came along and I just saw like a light switch flipped at the Air Force Academy. And we went from duty, honor, country, which is not our motto, but you get the idea, to you have to do what we tell you or we're going to kick you out, even though they're illegal orders. Not to me, because I knew they were illegal orders. I'm vaccine damaged. I know all this stuff. I know about the exemption process and the whatever. And they said, get the shot or get out. I'm like, that ain't legal. That's not lawful. That's nothing. That's not constitutional, nothing. And so the kids were coming to me for help, and I was helping them with their exemptions. They did not want to take the shots. They said, ma'am, what can I do? I asked them what they were being told, and I told them, well, they're leaving out a couple of legal options for you, explained what they were, and the kids said, would you help me? And I said, absolutely. Well, that spread like wildfire, that news, and I ended up helping students at every academy. So mainly the Air Force Academy, both cadets on the Hill and the preparatory school, which is the kids that didn't quite get in their first year, but they've got like this preparatory time to kind of whip their academics into shape, and then they can get into the main academy. So I worked at both locations. So they just absolutely don't want to take these things. And so I'm helping them with their religious exemptions as long as they are against abortion. And that was easy peasy. So now I get attacked by the supervisors saying, are you helping the students with their religious exemptions? I'm like, yeah, they came to me for help. I have the knowledge. And I said, here's how it works. They didn't like that because they were going for that 100%, compliance, right? Because they
Lloyd
get that.
Austin special.
Yeah. So we've never seen an actual approved shot. So FDA approved. It's all been a sham. You probably already know that. And you've probably had plenty of experts on that have explained that. So everyone who took any shot in the United States, probably the world, all took an experimental shot, even though they thought they were taking one that was FDA approved. So you wonder why we have the turbo cancers and the miscarriage rates and the blood clotting and then the no blood clotting and all these problems just popped up all of a sudden and all these excess deaths. that are now attributable directly to the shots. However, there are things that you can do. Whole other podcasts, I'm sure you've had some experts on. If not, I can recommend several that can tell you what kind of supplements and stuff to take. Dr. Anna Mihalcha would be the one I would recommend for that. So now I'm under disciplinary threats and things, and they start coming after me for the shots. I'm a civilian. You have zero authority to tell me what to do. And they relieved me of duty and said I couldn't teach the kids. I'm like, fine. So I started working on my Inspector General reports and complaints and sent those in on 9 individuals at the Air Force Academy, because when you get an illegal order, you're supposed to disobey it and report it. That's what I did. So back and forth, of course, now. And they ended up firing me in September of 2022 for conduct unbecoming a federal civilian and failure to follow an order. Of course, they don't say that it was an illegal order, because that's what I've been saying the whole time. Well, several illegal orders. And, helping the kids with their religious exemptions is not something you can order me not to do, because that's a protected activity under the law. These are all things that I knew. And so I've gone through the lawsuit process, and that's as far as I can probably go, because right now we've had the hearing finally, and the closing arguments and everything. It's been written, it's all submitted, and we're just waiting for the judge to make his decision. So now I'm unemployed. I'm praying, like, God, what I know that you needed me to help these kids, and I'm getting fired. So what is it that you need me to do next? And at that time, several individuals came into my life, all associated with the Republic, all at random. And I went, okay, I got it. Hello, hit me in the face. You want me to be involved in the Republic. So I had learned about that in October of 2021. A mutual friend introduced me to one of the members that's actually involved, has been since the beginning, and started to tell me all about it. And so I think that was the end of your question about how I got into the Republic. And I'll go for your next question, since I just talked a really long time.
Well, no, it's a fantastic response and answer, and I really thank you for the thoroughness of the overview. Just to recap here, we saw a lockstep shift essentially described in 2020 as a result of the pandemic that was launched, and the upper echelon of command over the Air Force Academy, without disparaging anyone unnecessarily, essentially complied with unlawful directives coming down from the federal civilian government. Is that a fair assessment of what you observed on the ground?
Yes, under threat. They were coerced. Violated all 10 of the principles of the Nuremberg Code. That's what I said in IG complaints.
So that leads me actually into one of my next questions, and it wasn't a question that I had sort of been planning on, but it just came to me a moment ago, and that's with the transition of the old corporate fiction and the military industrial machine that has sort of been the mercenary arm of the fiction back to a system of honor. And of a Republican form of government. And you said that you were contacted by representatives that essentially were acting in some concert or in some fashion with that very movement. Without divulging sensitive information, what can you tell us about that process, and what is the military's role in some of that?
Sure. So this is, again, going to be a long answer. I'll try to pause so you can ask questions, because it's quite a long story. In fact, there's a whole book on this one subject that explains how the Republic was lost and then how it was saved. So, so in my journey, this individual that I first talked to is the governor of Colorado in the Republic. Okay, so we got to realize that right now we've got the fake government, this corporation that was formed in 1871, like you said, and then that, Washington, D.C. said, hey, we're a corporation now. So if you want taxes and benefits and everything from us, you have to be a corporation too. And it's this really good thing. Now, I don't know what really happened. I can't go back in time and say, were they saying? But I can imagine this, and then I can imagine, and if you don't, we're going to kill you and your family. I mean, that's probably what ended up happening. And so all the states became corporations. So now you have state of Colorado, state of Texas, all capital letters. You can go online and you can find out what their Dun and Bradstreet registration numbers are. There's also the Colorado state and the Texas state, etc. And those are upper and lower cases, like every other word. Those are the republic, entities under the federal republic. So this is the Republic of Colorado, Republic of Texas. Not to be confused with another movement called Republic of Texas, which is a whole other story. And I can give you someone if you'd like to interview them about that. So these people that came into my life as I'm being disciplined and kicked out of the military as a civilian were random. These were just people who a friend of mine had met and thought, oh, these are really cool people. Let's bring them to this meeting that I'm having with Sandy. And in the course of talking to them, and they started using terminology I was familiar with the Republic. And I said, are you with the Republic? And they said, yes. And I went, okay, well, maybe that was just random. And then it happened again. And so that's how I got the, smack on the side of the head with the sledgehammer from God. It's like, this is what I need you to do. So the story of the Republic is really quite interesting. The patriots that, just like us, had been doing research about what is going on with this corporation that has taken over. And they realized the 1871 Act and, Lincoln had actually started the process in the executive government. Then it just kind of came to fruition in the 1870s. So the issue becomes, what happened to the Republic? So what I explain, I've done a video on this actually, and it's on Odyssey, How to Save America. And if you only look for the word re-inhabited republic on any of the channels, you'll find most of our videos. So the research was done in the archives, the states, everywhere, the writings, the biographies of all of our founding fathers to find out what had happened. And so what we can tell is Lincoln, in an act of desperation to keep the Union alive, took all the seats out of the Republic and moved them all into this executive government, which is kind of like a quasi-corporation. So that's where the beginning of the end started. We think his plan was then, once the war was over and the states were reunified, he was going to put everything back into the Republic. But soon after the war ended, he was murdered. So perhaps one of the reasons why, probably primary, was the goldbacks that he was trying to do to generate currency. And that just did not sit well with the bankers. And so hence the reason why he was taken out. So what happened to that Republic? Well, those seats were just sitting there vacant that whole time. And so years 2000s, 2005-ish, somewhere in there, 2005 to 2010, these patriots realized this, that it's literally just, seats over there gathering dust. And so they said, well, then all we need to do is reseat. Well, why don't we just start taking volunteers for temporary interim holding the seat so that someone doesn't take the chair, in a kind of a visual. And so governors, county clerks, judges, justices, House of Representatives, senators, everybody, volunteers started stepping in, started taking these seats and holding these interim positions. The whole idea being that once the corporation collapses, and that's all we're waiting for right now, because the Republic does not endorse any kind of violence or uprising or anything like that. It says it's going to be natural. The corporation will either fall on its own, or the good guy military, which we still hope and pray is still going and still strong, will assist the leaving of the corporation and all of its representatives. And they will not act without a civil authority. And they have approached the leadership of the Republic and told them they will be the interim government. And their number one priority will be free and fair elections without machines within 120 days.
That is absolutely
hopefully
incredible.
your folks are going, what? How come I've never heard of this before? Well, let's go back to 2010. So November of 2010, this is when the Republic, all these representatives got together in Utah. They realized they had a quorum of states for the first time, because the states were just totally coming up very rapidly. So they had kind of like a convention of states, sort of, but what they did there was they had a unanimous signing of the Declaration of Sovereign Intent. We just call it the DSI in November of 2010. And that solidified the re-inhabiting of our abandoned republic. They were in contact with several of these military folks, quote unquote. I'm guessing, because I'm not in direct contact, but I'm guessing that these are folks from the retired general crowd that have been working together behind the scenes since Kennedy, because they knew what was going on when they saw Kennedy killed, what Kennedy was trying to do. And it had taken that long, 60 years essentially, to get the pieces in place. They knew that the bad guys were going to do something like a COVID and then poison everyone with the shots. They knew this. So now we're up to 2010. The first president, James Timothy Turner, we call him Tim Turner, and he was on radio shows and things like that, and he had upwards of 22 million followers that were following him and the Republic. And then, of course, the 10,000 or 50,000 or however many were active, because we had it down all the way to the county levels. We had grand juries, we had assemblies, we had everything. It wasn't in every county, and every state wasn't fully manned, but it was really strong and growing exponentially at the time. So that was Obama's administration. What do you think he did? He sent in the three-letter agencies to infiltrate and destroy. And they were very good at it. And they almost destroyed this republic. A lot of people scattered, quit, ran away, resigned. But fortunately, a remnant remained and kept the republic alive. And that's what's been holding it together ever since. They were more or less in hiding the first few years, not knowing if the three letters were going to come after them again. But fortunately, around the 2019-2020 timeframe, they're really starting to get into it. And then, as we can all imagine, shadow banning, astronomical, off the scale. And no one's hearing it. No one's hearing about it. Maybe the 1 or 2, 10, folks, maybe a year that hear about it, join in and, try to be involved in everything. That was it. So then that was how it was. I was requested to be an outreach coordinator because of my teaching skills and my ability to take complex things and break it down. So I start doing the podcasts. 100, maybe, people watch it, 1,000 at best. That's it. It's like, that's interesting. So time goes on, and now the Trump trial verdict comes out. This is me. It literally felt like someone flipped a switch and suddenly there was a lot less shadow banning. Now, what I think could have also happened is that the word was getting out about the Republic because people were so angry about what just happened in the Trump trial that they went, we got to do something. Finally, they're saying that to themselves. We've got to do something. And the word about the Republic was starting to trickle through. And then, bam, it started to take off. So either the shadow banning went away or was reduced somehow, or we have exceeded the capabilities of the shadow banning. And now the word is getting out. And so I'm on all these podcasts. I'm trying to bring this word to as many patriots as possible to let you know that everyone's saying we have to save the Republic. And I'm like, we saved it. It's already saved. You just need to know about us. And so that's why I'm doing these podcasts.
I'm sitting on the other end of this microphone, just intently hanging on every word because it confirms for awake patriots and deep researchers that would characterize themselves as anons. They've been looking for things for a very long time to make some sort of sense of the madness, some sort of logical train of progress and motion with respect to the Q operation online. Is it real? Is it fake? What is the nature of the information? Where are we going here? What is Trump really up to? What is the U.S. military really up to? What was the storm that was referenced in the ballroom? Questions like this and more. And essentially, what you've just described is the process post 9/11/2001 that has been discussed at different points along the way as having come out of high-level military command and both retired and active to revert the United States back to a lawful republic and away from a corporate maritime fiction. And essentially, we've accomplished, if I'm to understand you correctly, we've accomplished most of the mechanics of that process, and now we just need people to put their shoes on. Is this a correct assessment?
100% correct summary, yes.
That's remarkable. So Dr. Miarecki, Sandy, what do we do from here? What is the advice for patriots and we the people that want to become kinetically involved?
So, of course, kinetic, as you're talking like in violence, we are known, we do not condone that at all, because everything we're doing is in law, in the Constitution, and that's all we need, because we are in right, we are in truth. And so eventually that's going to win. So we are being told we're running out of time. Since the Republic was minimally manned for such a long time, we had maybe, I don't know, 10 states, I'm guessing now, 10 states that had some sort of representation, either a governor or a senator or maybe a few others. Very, very few states that were very mature in terms of having a lot of the positions filled. In fact, when I moved from Colorado, after I was fired, I'm like, well, why am I staying in Colorado? The altitude's kicking my butt. My health is not good. So I had property in Texas, and I said, that's a better idea. Let me go there. And so that's where I am now. So when I moved here, I said, let me talk to the governor and see, what they need for help in Texas. And they go, well, you're the governor. I'm like, oh, so you mean I'm the only one? Great. I'm glad you gave me a small state. Thank you. So 254 counties, I'm still, I need to work on this. So the lawsuit has taken up all of my time. That's 2 full-time jobs right there. But fortunately now, 2 weeks ago, it's all calmed down, and I've been throwing myself into the Republic and these podcasts and the recruiting. I'm also the volunteer coordinator now. And so anyone that emails us, I'm responding, and I'm telling you, here's what it is, here's how you get involved, whatever. So to answer your question, we have our original website and now a newer website. We're kind of like trying to transition between the two. There's functionality working better on one versus the other. It's a long website. I'm so sorry, guys. And I'm working on it. I'm working with them to say, can we shorten this a little bit? And so the first one is Republic for, FOR, the United States of America.org. That's the original one. You're going to find all of our founding documents, the Declaration of Sovereign Intent, the Proclamation of Claim and Interest that says we are taking back all the land that has been confiscated illegally and unlawfully by the federal corporation. And on behalf of the people, holding it in trust, it goes on and on from there. So I highly encourage everyone to go read these documents and see what we're all about, and that we're not kidding around. A lot of people might say, well, if you haven't done all the international notifications, it's like, no, we did all that. So that's the United Nations, The Hague, the Universal Postal Union, the Joint Chiefs of Staff in the corporate Pentagon. And there's a few others in there as well. And they were all properly notified. We even had to come up with our own flag because our American flag was hijacked by the corporation. So we had to have another one in order to register the country, with the international system. So that's all been done. And that's been done since about 2010, 2012 timeframe. So there's a lot of, so it's the second website. Let me do that first, and then I'll tell you more about the other folks that are trying to restore the Republic, but they're wasting their time because first in time, first in right, first in law. So if they would have to have everything finished before we did in order to have the right to be first in line. So the second website is exactly the same as the first one I said, Republic for the United States of America.org. Now put members in front of that, and that'll get you to the second website. So the members one is really good at registering people to be electors, because voters are slaves. Our language has been so screwed up by this corrupt cabal, person instead of people and all of this stuff, and it's just insane. So that's where I would go to sign up to be an elector in your state. The whole idea is to try to get 30,000 people minimum in the state to stand up and say we support the Republic. And that's just by signing up for the newsletter or signing up as an elector. And we're watching these, like little temperature gauges going up, and are so happy to see these numbers increasing. California, you're in the lead. Now, of course, you've got probably the most population as well. So, we've got to probably do a per capita just so that it's a fair competition. Florida's second. So Texas is third. Of course, you got big populations. So those are the two main websites. And I highly encourage you to go to both and just explore. Now, that'll get you kind of like I call it level 1 knowledge of the Republic. If you want level 2, actually, I've got them right here. Our historian has written a book called Re-inhabited. Jean and David Hertler. I'll try to hold it up a little closer. So Hertler. So this is volume 1. This is the true history of America from the original documents, from the original diaries and whatever of our founding fathers. And then volume 2, if I don't get the shiny part, that's the one that actually gives you the full discussion with all of the source documents and everything of the re-inhabitation, what these brave patriots did and what they went through in order to re-inhabit this republic and get attacked by the three letters in the 2012 to 2013 timeframe at the peak of what they were doing. The president, James Timothy Turner, even got jailed, no charges when he was arrested, and they food poisoned him the day before his trial. When he was in the infirmary, they went into his cell and stole all of his notes, all of his books, anything that he had that he was going to use in the trial for the no charges thing. And so this very sick man went in the next day without any notes, without any attorneys or lawyers, because he knows this stuff backwards and forwards, but the judge was absolutely pegged against him, and there was nothing he could do. He was found guilty, get this, of the potential to commit a future crime. Then they made up some charges of IRS fraud or something, or that was his trial. They were going to take him down no matter what. And they thought, great, we'll cut off the head and the whole republic thing will die. Didn't work out that way. That wasn't in God's plan. And so now it has lived till today, and now it is coming back stronger than ever. I'm up till 2 or 3 in the morning, personally answering each and every email that comes into the system. So I will give you the email address that actually, it's just easier to go on the website because I'm going to get it wrong probably. And just send an email and say, I'm interested in taking one of the empty seats. I call them seat warmers. I'm kind of joking, right? Because that's really all we need right now is just someone to be in the seat. Because when the corporation falls and the military says, Republic, you're up. We're up. We are the civil authority that the military absolutely requires in order to not violate their oaths of office and oaths of the Constitution. Because they will not have a military junta or a military coup or anything like that. They have to have the civil authority.
A change of batter must be ready to go.
That's right. So like I told you before, like 2020 timeframe-ish, we had like 10 states that had some partial representation at various levels. We now have, I'm just doing the last count, 39. We're only 11 short right now of having at least one person in the governor's position of these states. I mean, that's almost 4 times, in 2 months after we've been waiting 12 years. That's not bad. So I'm asking all patriots out there, this is either resonating with you or it's not. The ones that it's resonating with and going, oh my God, this is exactly what I've been praying about. This is exactly what I wanted to hear. This is exactly what I have been, I need to do this. So it's on your heart. Go to the website, sign up. If for some reason you can't, just find a way to contact us through that website, either of the 2 websites, the members dot or the one that's just republicfortheunitedstatesofamerica.org. And I'll send you the links so that you can put them at the bottom of the video or however you want to do that if that's what you want. and let's re-inhabit the rest of this republic, because corporation is very rapidly running out of time. So I do have some intel that I can share a little bit, but I want to first see what kind of questions you might have so far.
Actually, you're stealing the syllables right off of my tongue, because my audience would chastise me if I didn't at least attempt to ask the question, is there anything significant background wise, without divulging, sensitive or NDA protected information, that you can tell us about the progress and the process so far?
So after Tim Turner was taken out, the president that was elected into his position was James Buchanan Geiger. And he's been the president ever since, the interim president, right? And he's a seat warmer just like us. Of course, he has to make decisions just like the rest of us do occasionally. He is in communication with, I'll just say, insiders. Tim, and they didn't send him to the country club ones. They sent him to the worst ones, of course. And he started to have some health issues. And fortunately, thank God, last April, so April of 2023, he was finally released under the CARES Act under house arrest with the ankle bracelet. Now he's able to get proper health care, and now his health is improving. We're really, really hoping that we can get this republic stood up right away, because then all of his charges are gone. The ankle bracelet's gone. All of that's gone. And he can start acting. He's the attorney general. I thought, who could be better than that? Someone who's actually been through their stupid system. So the things I can tell you. So Tim Turner is also still in some communication with his insider contacts. I am in communication with a few insiders. And I'm getting mostly the financial side of news. That being, for years, they've been trying to get the funding into the trusts for the republic, so the republic has the funds available to be the republic when it's asked to be. Now, of course, they can take the corporate and move it over or the whatever, but to have its own funds set up, that's a whole other scenario, because it's there and it's theirs. Apparently that happened this past Monday and Tuesday. Not directly in the Republic Trust, but very close to that, to the point where we've been waiting 5-6 years for that set of circumstances to start, and it just happened. That sounds like good news to me, because these people,
Mind-blowing.
I know, these people on the inside have been risking their lives every day. One of the people that I know has had 3 assassination attempts that he knows about. What are the ones that were thwarted by God or whatever, all of course failed, because he is doing God's work. He has no doubt about that. I have no doubt about that. So that's one piece of intel, the most recent pieces of intel. The others are that it's mostly the National Guard that will be the military that will be acting, because so much of the active duty at all branches is compromised, especially at the upper levels. It's Sandy's secret wish that she gets to be on the military tribunals to take down every single star general that's ever existed. Well, let's just say give them their day in court, in the military, in the martial law military tribunals. They take only a few hours, because it's pretty obvious that they're guilty. It's just, which sentence should they get? So I pray that that day is coming soon. I would be happy to help out with that. And I assume that they're going to be bringing back a lot of retirees, honorable retirees like myself, to either run or be a member of these tribunals, and just start, having them go through one at a time. And under the Republic and under martial law, there is no sitting on death row or whatever for years before you get your sentence. Ain't how it works. So I got to imagine that these so-called leaders are getting a little scared now because they're seeing the signs of what I'm talking about. So I'll let you ask some questions while I try to think if there's anything else that I can say.
Actually, Sandy, I'm just so completely blown away that I'm going to start segueing into the closing segment, but I do have one final question here, and that is, with this transition process, how should we as American patriots attempt to live up to, maybe is the wrong way to say it, honor maybe is a better way to say it, the spirit of the forefathers and the founders and the framers and all of the heroic men and women in the background on this project and many others, over the last really 150 to 200 years? How do we live up to that, and how do we best honor that for the future?
Excellent question. I know that I was guilty of it because I didn't, quote, awaken until the 13th of March of 2020, when we sent our cadets home for the flu. And I went, we did what? That was my exact words. And I knew something was drastically wrong. That's when I awakened. Other people are having different timelines of awakeness. The biggest thing that was my mistake was, well, I am doing my job as best and as honorably as I can. I'm expecting everyone else to be doing the same thing. So I'm stovepiped as a Air Force officer, pilot, test pilot. Governor, I'm assuming, is being an honorable, person. Now, I know that they weren't. I know that there was corruption. I did not think it was every single politician and so-called public official. Now we know it's pretty much everybody. It might not be in the little tiny counties because they didn't need to take over those little tiny counties because they had the big counties and that was enough. But we all need to wake up to the fact that this is we the people government. The republic is not, well, I'm just going to elect some guy and they're going to do everything for me. No, this is where every single American gets involved in their government at the assembly level, which would be at the county level. Then, of course, the county assemblies appoint their state assembly members. And then those state assemblies are the ones that actually appoint the senators. That got changed in the Constitution. People don't even realize that. We also have an original 13th Amendment. Whole other podcast we can have, Sean, SG. So that is no titles of nobility. Who puts an Esquire at the end of their names? Bar attorneys. So it specifically says they will lose their citizenship and are barred from holding any office whatsoever. That original 13th Amendment is still in force. It was just
Suspended.
unlawfully deleted from the Constitution. Interesting. They had to, because it's the bar attorneys that have been responsible a lot for the downfall of our entire governmental system, our country. When you look at how many corrupted attorneys have been in our government, are any of these laws, any of these US codes, any of these amendments valid if there's 100 bar attorneys in Congress? I don't think so. How about if your governor's a bar attorney? I don't think so. So that's another thing that we're going to be doing in the Republic. And it's already been decided by the first and second Congress of the re-inhabited Republic. We're talking the 2010, 2012 timeframe. Everything reverts back to March of 1861. Now, why that date? Well, that was right before Lincoln took office as a bar attorney. I didn't know that either. I learned that maybe just a year and a half ago. That's actually why South Carolina left the Union in December of 1860. They were complaining and complaining and complaining. You can't have Lincoln. He won the election in November. You can't have Lincoln in here. He's a bar attorney. He's violating the 13th Amendment. And when they didn't listen to him, South Carolina said, see ya. And they all say it was slavery or states' rights. Well, states' rights kind of, because the states are trying to follow the Constitution and the federal government is just violating it left and right. So there's so much, and you'll learn all that in these Re-inhabited books. Anyone who wants to do the deep dive, Gene and David Hertler, like I said, Hertler, go read those books. They're outstanding. They are documented. You can see the pictures of the documents, the citations, everything is right there. You can go research it yourself and go find out that this is the truth. So they're updating the books right now, actually, so that they're even more current. Some of the links are not there anymore, stuff like that. So we will all, every American, get involved in their government. Could be just at the county level. But we are no longer going to just be able to sit on the sidelines and vote for somebody and say, well, they'll represent me. Nope. Because it's our job to make sure that we are the government. And these little people up at the top, our servants, are doing what we tell them to do, order them to do. So that will be the big difference in our lives, that we're going to have to make that time in order to go to our assembly meetings and things like that.
A republic if you can keep it. We're stepping back into our own power. This has been one of the more phenomenal audio chats I've ever had. Sandy, Dr. Miarecki, thank you so very much for joining me. God bless you. And for the audience out there, I hope you've enjoyed our conversation. If you'd like to learn more, please reach out to republicfortheunitedstatesofamerica.org. You may also reach out to members.republicfortheunitedstatesofamerica.org. This is SG Anon. I'll be back with each of you again soon on the Q News Patriot. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.
Okay. So this is what we've been waiting for. And I intend that people will share this out to their people and their friends. I don't know how long this will stay up on my page. Facebook already deleted the links I tried to put in immediately after I posted them in at the beginning of this. So here we go, folks. It's all happening. And the more people that see this video and get pumped up because they finally see that the truth is being revealed and that the old republic is being restored. Here we go. So anyway, I did my part and I will continue to do so. And please share this out to your networks, YouTube channels, wherever, because this is verifiable. It's not hearsay, and it's powerful. So anyway, big love from me to you, and let's do this.